Merry meet. So today I will review an oracle deck, and it's an oracle deck full of frustrated Valkyries, wonders why they are forced to go into battle wearing chainmail bikinis, or more plate mail bikinis. For some reason, there were no plate mail in the Viking era, and dudes with shit on their helmets. Aqua, the Viking Oracle, wisdom of the ancient Norse. We have a perfect example here on the box. We have this somewhat annoyed gentleman here who is wondering why are there wings on his helmet, and also why doesn't he have anything to protect his arms? Because somebody get a sword slashed in there, it's not going to be too easy to hold his shield and sword or axe, depending on what he might be armed with. So yeah, he does look fabulous though. So my husband had this idea that this must be basically a man that's very forward for his time, that claimed equal opportunity, and demanded to join the Valkyries as a boy Valkyrie. Yes. Now, here's the thing. I just had a discussion about the whole culture appropriation thing. And I don't personally have anything against a deck like this, which is very clearly based on an Americanized idea of what Viking culture was. It's basically some pop culture and a little bit of rune knowledge. What I do wish were the case is that one basically then notes somewhere that, hey, this is based on a popularized idea of this, not an historical fact. And I mean, it's the same thing if you're going to make a book about the magic system, for example, from a culture that you are not a part of, or do not have enormous amount of knowledge of. Then just note somewhere that this is something that you have devised from that it is not basically authentic, going back through that culture for who knows who long. Because I don't have a problem with pop Vikings, that's completely okay. But when it's sort of presented as this is how the real Viking culture would have looked, then it gets a little bit more iffy. So yeah, but let's get on with it. The box is sturdy. It will keep your deck safe for some time. This is published by Blue Angel, and it's made by Stacey Denarco, and the artwork is by Jimmy Manton. So inside, if I can get this off, you have a little sheet of white paper protecting the contents for some reason. So I guess it's a nice enough touch. And then we have the book. And this book again have the picture of the man with the feathers, the metal feathers on his helmet. And we have the very unpractical battle geared Valkyrie on the back. So, excuse me. When dealing with an oracle deck as opposed to a tarot deck, the actual book becomes much more important. Since it's a tarot deck, if you don't like the book that comes with the deck, you can always go out and buy another book or find information online, that be on a web page or on a YouTube video. You will be covered in figuring out what these cards mean. But with an oracle deck, there usually are only that one book that will explain the system. So if that isn't good enough, you are stuck with either abandoning the deck or making your own system for it. or just reading intuitively. But yes, we have a table of contents, which basically is an introduction and the cards. So we have the introduction, which talks about the author's love of mythology, and yeah, basically a pop version of what Vikings believed in. And then you have another pop version with about Norse mythology. And then we have something about the cards, how to use this deck, a dedication ritual for your cards, which is pretty good. It's a nice thing to include. We have 3 card spread, everything has that. A few different techniques for reading, which is interesting. A 9 worlds draw, which is I haven't seen other places, which makes me happy because I do like unique spreads since I collect them. We have a past, present, and future cast here. 9 card grid system. And then we have a rune only spread, which basically uses, because each card is dedicated to one rune, so you can use it as you would runes. Then you have the cards, which basically go a little blurb about each, and some words of wisdom from it. And yeah, the information on the cards are okay. The information on how to use the deck is pretty good. All in all, this is decent enough little white book. It will give you what you need to work with this deck. Then you have it about the author and about the artist and some advertisements for other decks by the same company. Okay, now I've been talking for 7.5 minutes about various stuff. Let's have a look at the cards. Cards, where are you? There we are. So, I love the artistry of these. These are very, very pretty cards. But, yeah, no. They are definitely not what this is supposed to be a vulva, a Viking wise woman. And you have to remember this was the late Middle Ages. So would she wear something like that? No. Sewing crafts just were not advanced enough to make this outfit. And generally speaking, most people didn't show that much cleavage, even in a pagan society. And here we have another one that more look like you have a Greek thing going on. So yeah, and no, Vikings did not have horns on their helmets, and they most certainly did not have feathers on their helmets. I do like these cards, which are basically just a rune. That works pretty well. And some of these that basically are artifacts from it, legend, those are really nice. But all the people on the cards, everybody have these wings on them. And again, we have a Viking, Kaldago, whoever it is here. The problem with this is, okay, so somebody decides that they want this guy here dead. So they rush him, and what is he protecting his upper body with again? Besides, Norway is cold. So while one part of me do appreciates all the cleavages and the very nice, very muscled men with their shirts off. Let's just say it's not that historically correct. This is more the fantasy version. Basically, if you were gonna make a D&D world loosely based on Old Norse ideas and culture, this might work for that. And here we have a Celt that has for some reason ended up in... we know how he ended up in Viking land, now don't we? He was kidnapped. So, yeah. But I mean, the cards are beautifully done. This one isn't that bad. There are some indications that Vikings wore animal skins. So this one, if it was in the middle of summer during a religious rite, this one could possibly happen. Valkyrie with cleavage. Pretty stone. Horse that has far more sensible armor than the owner, though I do wonder how they managed to get the mane up through the armor. And here again, something has happened. Here we clearly have some Celtic, there was actually several Celtic groups that used blue body paint. This is clearly one of those. And he also is going around shirtless, just with some armor on in the winter in Norway. So I think what we have here is that we have a Celt that has been kidnapped and made into a slave, then freed. Then he's become a warrior and hates himself and is now trying to kill himself by exposure. That's what's going on here. And a rune, prickly stone on a bird, cleavage lady with wings, another rune, very pretty card, another Celt. Now, yes, Vikings did have... red hair was sort of prized, and there is some indication that it was very common, and we do have a shared ancestry with other Germanic tribes, including several then Celtic tribes. But some of those body markings were very clearly stereotypical Pict and Celtic markings rather than Viking, but yeah. This outfit keeps me warm in the Norwegian winter. Pretty landscape. I do love this card of Hel, the Norwegian death goddess. And she really looks like some awesome fantasy character. So yeah, I can't fault it too much. But again, with the horns. Here we have another dude with wings on his head. But at least this guy has a shirt on, so he's not going to freeze to death immediately. Unlike his friend here. And I guess Odin might survive out in the cold, shirtless for a little while. He's being a god and all. But yeah. A statue with wings on his head. This author really likes those wings. Scaldi, one of the three fate goddesses. This one is nice. Sunstone, actually a really important one here. For once that was used to guide ships. It's one of the key part of Old Norse sea navigation. So well done. I do like this illustration of the 9 worlds. That is nice. A guy again with wings on his head. And these cards are a bit sticky together. Why are these people wearing wings on their heads? But yes, and he's shirtless again. But at least he seems to be indoors, so he's not going to freeze to death immediately. And yeah, I just wanted to show you the back, which is reversible. Hallelujah. The cards are semi-glossy. Well, actually, it's very glossy on both the front and the back. So basically, shuffling these, we are sitting down at the movie and shuffling them quite a few times. Might be a good idea to just scuffle them up a bit, which will make them easier to shuffle. I do wonder why they had the 3 ladies here together in this card, and one of them as a standalone in another card. That's a bit of an odd. It's not very consistent now, is it? But yeah, the cardstock quality is nice. These are very durable cards. They will last you for quite some time. The thing. Which is a sort of social gathering that Vikings had. Is basically actually what our governing body is named after. It's named Stortinget, which would be the grand thing. So yeah, catching that's a good thing. And here we have the somewhat confused gentleman without a shirt and wings on his head again, and it's supposed to be Thor. Well, guess you're an honorary Valkyrie now. Here we have the Valkyries. They get a Greek dress, wings on their heads, wings on their backs, and yeah. Well, that's that. Veivisir. I actually like this card. It's very nice. Will of the Weird. Also very nice. And Yggdrasil. Also quite nice. So, what do I think about this deck? Well, okay, the positives. The deck is sturdy. It will last you quite some time. It's excellent cardstock, and it's very well made. The images are beautiful. There are some very nice symbolism here if we go by the pop Norse mythology standard. And there are some hits here and there that gets it right. And yeah, it do have, note for the negatives, it do have the extremely big types of cards that are the usual for Oracle decks, which makes this very hard to shuffle. And it being this glossy also means the cards love one another a lot and want to stay together. But it is not as bad to shuffle as some new Oracle decks I have. So yeah, another good thing is that the cards are fully reversible. So if you want to work with that, you have that. This is my favorite card in the lot. For the bad, I wish she would have mentioned that basically this is her idea of... It's basically somewhat based on Viking society, calling it the Viking Oracle. Yeah, no. Because here's the thing. At least, if you're gonna make a deck and call it the Viking Oracle, Google Viking attire, basically just have a look at somewhat what men and women would have worn in basically Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland at the time. If you use 20 minutes and spend no money and resources whatsoever, you just Google things and look at Wikipedia pages, then you would get at least some things better. This is the generic fantasy oracle. It's loosely based on Viking society, and that's basically what it is. So yeah, no, Vikings did not have horns on their helmets. They also did not have wings on their helmets. And people in Norway, generally speaking, not in the Middle Ages, and tend to go around shirtless unless it was in the middle of summer. And you definitely do not go shirtless in a battle. So yeah. All in all, it's not a bad deck. It's pretty. I do not like a couple of the choices. For example, you have the 3 fates together, and then you have one of them as a standalone card. Why do you have her particularly as a standalone card and not the others? It seems a bit like the authors, I want to draw this, I want to draw that. I'll just fit it all together, rather than making a plan from the start to make a well-developed Oracle deck. So there's that. But it's a pretty deck. Some of the cards are really, really good. And there are definitely worse decks you can get out there. Just remember that this has nothing to do with Viking culture. It has nothing to do with Old Norse. It is pure and fantasy and nothing else. If you keep that in mind, then I think, yeah, sure, this deck might do you well. So yeah, this is my review of Viking Oracle, Wisdom of the Ancient Norse. And what that wisdom is always remember to have fucking wings on your head. Have a great day, and blessed be.